What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Casual Highlights podcast platform where we strive to educate, inform, and inspire while having casual and conscious conversations in the world of sports and life. Listen, my name is Hygh, founder, host of the show. Got a very special guest in the building for this first installment. We like to call this the high depth discussion and got Courtney Harden from the Real Deal, a friend of the show. He hasn't been on here in a while. He's part of the BS3 family. Um, he has a show, The Real Deal, but he also is a content creator with the BS3 network and is a avid sports fan, very knowledgeable. And we're just gonna tackle a couple things today, man. And it's like a family reunion. We haven't had a one-on-one discussion in a very long time. Courtney, what's going on, man?
Thank you, man, for the invite. Really appreciate that intro. You call. I'm ready, man. Always down to support and give some insight, have a conversation. As you said, it's been a few years since we've had a one-on-one. So I mean, I really appreciate it, man, and ready to rock. So thanks for the invite. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for coming on. Hey, let's go ahead and I want to dive, man. The last month and a half, we just had Women's History Month, and we just had really, man, it's been on a rise with women's sports, man, and
Yeah.
women's basketball has gone to a different dimension. Um, just give me your thoughts, bro. You was at the WNBA draft, man, doing coverage for BS3 Network. Man, give me the experience, man. What was it like covering a sporting event like that, like the draft?
It was a great experience. It was my first actually covering something for the media, a sporting event for the media. So right there, that was just a great experience. Been trying to dive into that for a long time, and doing the podcast for a very long time. But now being able to do live events and getting that opportunity. So got a shout out, as you said, BS3, Ben Sutters, and the whole entire network for giving us this opportunity to do that, and for us to be able to uh, have like some of these leagues gives an opportunity, like the WNBA, like the NFL, all these different platforms. So that in itself was great. So I was excited. I was nervous. I
Mhm.
was up most of that same night. That night before, I went to New York the night before, and me and my wife we went, and I was up. I had her up. She was saying, "You got me up doing this, and I'm not even doing anything yet for it." So that
Yeah.
was one thing. But I got some sleep, got a few hours, and was just up early in the morning. Had to be there at the Empire State Building.
Mm.
That was one of the things I had to do. Is they had the draft class come in, and the commissioner of the WNBA. That was at like 8:30 in the morning, so I had to get there. I was walking distance from our hotel, so like 10 minutes. So I was there early, and just seeing the draft class, and just that whole atmosphere was wonderful. Just to see that draft class come before the draft, and they had to do for the Empire State Building, kind of just be together with media, answer questions and everything too, and just talking and everything too. So it was a great experience. So I recommend, if anyone wants to do something like that, and WNBA, they ask you to do it, just to do it, because it was a, like I said, a wonderful experience, and I would do it again, just to meet some of the media, just to be together, taking pictures and video and reels and things like that. It was great.
So was it everything with covering your first media experience? Was it everything that you expected, or even more than you imagined?
It
Doing
was it was more just to be there, and I was one of the first ones there at the at the place. So being
yeah.
another guy, he was covering the Indiana Fever. He was a photographer for Indiana Fever, and we was just chopping it up a little bit. So just to get that connection with the media first and foremost, and then
Mhm.
then other media members came in, and then they directed us to where we needed to be. And I mean, people from ESPN for the different teams, talking about like photographers, media members. It was just a great experience. I was soaking it all in. First and foremost, I was just soaking it all in the beginning, And then I was like, you know what? I'm part of this. I need to like get more involved in this. And he's like, they asked us to be there, so I got to represent for the network. So then I started taking a lot of photos and pictures. I mean, I got so many pictures and so much content, so much video. I'm like, I'm just gonna just flood my social media and flood the BS3 social media with just a lot of content. So it was everything I thought of and even more.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I had a similar experience this year covering, because I really dived into my other niche of photography. I have the podcasting, but I've been diving into the back end stuff, man, and going to a Division I basketball game like that on the floor, taking pictures, man. And then somebody asked me, "You want to go to the press conference?" Hell yeah, let's go to the press conference.
Why not, right?
I'm like, so the first time, man, I went in there, Courtney, I was like, I don't know what question to ask. I'm gonna just sit here. But that second time, I came with like 3 or 4 questions. My heart was beating like this, and I was like, "Oh boy!" And the coach looked at me. Coach Men's looking at me. I said, "Yes, you know." And it just came out, and he spoke back. And at the end of the day, man, it's like you see people on TV, and it'd be like a surreal moment. Like, man, I'm really here. Like the stuff I dreamed for, I'm really here. I'm actually in my element. I'm in my moment, man.
Yeah.
And so, same way with you, man. You was at the WNBA draft. All eyes have really been on women's sports, particularly women's basketball, man. And I just believe, like with women's sports in general, like I believe there's like different pillars, in my opinion, from things I've seen. Like we go back to '95 when UConn went undefeated, the gold medal game in '96 where they went undefeated and the WNBA started. We go to soccer in '99 when the women won the World Cup. And I believe this Final Four that just took place back in a couple of weeks ago, I feel like it was yesterday, the most talked about Final Four probably in the history of women's sports, man, dominated headlines over the men's, man. Like, just your thought, man, on women's sports. Like, what's your thought on the state of women's sports right now?
Man, I mean, it's been like a climb. It's been like just going, like you said, just on a rise. And I've been loving seeing how it's been just going like at a trajectory so far. And as you you said before the WNBA draft, I'm sitting there right in front of Aaliyah Boston, who was the #1 pick, All American. She was the best player last season. She was the All-American best player last season, and even this season, South Carolina was undefeated going into to the Final Four. Losing to Iowa, but the way LSU did, I mean, the way the coverage has been. I've been talking with a lot of different women. I had my series just this year, the Women's History Month in the this past March, had a bunch of women from that covered the WNBA, that covered women's basketball. It's covered a lot of different things in women's sports. Just talk with them from the media perspective too, and just to highlight them as well. It's been such a great seeing how women's sport has just grown, and as much as it's growing, it continues to keep growing. And someone said on my show, they said all it needed was a platform. It just needed a platform, like ABC covered just had the women's college basketball championship. I mean, that just of that alone was big, was huge. And then on top of that, having the highest rated game, Iowa and LSU, just a couple weeks ago, and you said they talked about it. That's all it needed. It was on prime time at 3:30 afternoon on a Sunday, and then just like I said, the ratings was just the highest it's ever been. It had got like I think 9.9 million viewers, topped up at 12 million at one point. So yeah, just that alone is just, and it's just continued to keep talking about. It's been talking about. Now you got the WNBA coming up. You got the Women's World Cup coming up. I love seeing it, man. I mean, it should have already been this, but just to see it where it is now, I love seeing it.
Right. And just thinking about it, man, I just remember growing up hearing about track and field.
Yeah.
We didn't hear too much. Now that was the biggest thing, man, track and field, but we didn't hear much about the basketball, the softball, soccer, and now we hear about we can't forget softball, man, because that's the Women's College World Series is coming up. But do you think that the hype could have been about like a Caitlin Clark going up against the Goliath of South Carolina, and all eyes wanted to see that, and then how the performance she put on against the daunting of the big dog South Carolina? Do you think that may have played a part into people wanting to the viewership even more?
Oh yeah, most definitely, and it doesn't hurt at all. I mean, it helps. I mean, you had a player like Caitlin Clark who was Player of the Year this year, I mean, deservedly so. I mean, what she was able to do for college basketball just in itself, and then you got LSU, the team that what they've had and what they were able to accomplish to winning the national championship totally helps. And hey, I'm all for it. Like I said, I'm all for just uplifting the women's sports, just women's sports in general, women in sports, women's in media, whatever it is. Like the coverage is just what it's been over these last couple of years, but this year particularly, it was tremendous. It was tremendous to see. It was, like I said, it was more exciting than the men's college basketball tournament. But Caitlin Clark, what in LSU and what they were able to do, and they said South Carolina. I mean, UConn, they got beat. They got beat in the Sweet 16. But what they was able to accomplish as well, with all the injuries they've had too, and as you said, the track and field. We just had the World Championship in track and field last year was huge. I mean, there was so many big names on with that. Yeah, women's sports, the way it's being talked about now, the coverage, the media rights, all these things is tremendous to see, man. I'm all for it. I'm a big advocate for women in sports.
Yeah, and I forgot the other one too. That's big, gymnastics. I don't want to leave them out.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't leave them out at all, man.
You cannot leave them out.
No,
but
we just had the gymnastics. I think the college, the NCAA gymnastics.
Yeah, the championship.
Just what's past weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm about to say. Do you think part of the reason why women's basketball, I believe, is getting more coverage because we're looking for more coverage over men? And this is just my thought. I believe because we have storylines where we can grow with certain athletes. Like nowadays, men's basketball is one and done, and we don't hear about him for like 5 years, and all of a sudden, oh man, he's dominating the league now. But to watch Caitlin Clark, I started watching her last year and this year. I'm watching what Paige Becker does. I watch what South Carolina women's team, Don Staley. Do you think it's because we have those certain stars that we watch for 3 or 4 years, which is why maybe we tuned in a little bit more than what the men have? Because the men, man, the field was wide open. Everybody in their mama knew UConn was going to win that tournament, that Final Four. Everybody knew.
Yeah.
That was like the easiest betting money, man.
Yeah, because once all the number ones went down, you kind of had a feeling that, okay, UConn was the favorite and should have won, and they did win. But yeah, the storylines, it helps. I mean, those type of things, like I said, all it needed was a platform. Yes, women's. If you talk about particularly women's basketball, it's on ESPN. ESPN does as best as it can, just like the WNBA. It's on ESPN, but when ABC gets it, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. A major network is behind it, and then you put it on an ABC, not just ESPN. You put it on ABC, and then you got on top of that, you have Sue Bird and Diane Taurasi doing the Manning cast type of thing.
Yeah, that was big.
Just more eyeballs for it. Like if it has a platform, it has a network that's behind it, people will watch it. But yeah, the storylines are tremendous. Like you said, the Caitlin Clarks and the LSUs, the South Carolinas, UConn being in the mix. Once Paige Beckers comes back, I mean, that right there, that's going to be another
huge.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. So that just helps women's basketball even more. And then you, like you said, coming off the heels of that highly watched, the most watched basketball game in history, and now then you had the WNBA draft on the heels of that. As big as that was, I think it was the second most watched WNBA draft in history. So you have that. So yeah, women's sports is just like I said, just on a rise. And
Yeah.
yeah, just like I said, it just needs a more of a it's continue to need platform, just continue to need more coverage. And if it gets the coverage, people will watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Now we're gonna switch gears, man. We're gonna go over here and to the brotherhood, and we're gonna talk about the NBA playoffs.
Okay.
Now I haven't watched. I'm gonna be real with you. I've watched a little bit because my eyes have been in other directions this year. I'm gonna be real with you, Courtney. I didn't watch the All-Star game. I was like, I'm tired of this. That wasn't even street ball, man. It wasn't even Harlem Globetrotters. But
No, you didn't miss anything, man. You didn't miss up with the All Star at all.
yeah. So the teams I've been watching a little bit is OKC because I live not too far from Oklahoma City. But just your take on the playoffs right now, man. As the standings are right now, we got LA Lakers up 1-0, the Clippers up 1-0. Your hometown the Sixers up 1-0, and a slew of other teams. Miami's up 1-0. What is the first game that important, or or because everybody puts stock in, oh man, we won the first game, and then you lose 4 straight, or what's your take on game 1 of any playoff series?
Yeah, I don't take a lot of stock in one games, the game 1, because you said it's a 7-game series, so they're gonna make adjustments. Teams are gonna make adjustments and things like that. So yeah, I've never been a big fan of game 1. Even if a team goes up 2-0, now yeah, if you go up 2-0, you're in a hole. So, but we've seen teams come back from 0-2. They go back home, especially if the road team loses, they go back home and then they take care of business at home. So I think the series doesn't start to a road team actually does win. Now you had a lot of road teams did win game 1, but if they go up 2-0, then yeah, I think that's a big deal. But right now, I think with the way the series has been, we've had some major injuries. Now you got Giannis who just got injured. We don't know if he's going to play game 2, but they lost it. And then John Morant, who's got a significant injury with his wrist, and the way he's talking, like he might not even play these next few games. So that's not good. That's not good for Memphis. It's good. Right. Good as Memphis did last year, playing without him. If you're playing against a Laker team that's seem like that they're getting it together, and if LeBron and AD are healthy, the Lakers could be a problem heading into this later in this series. So Memphis definitely needs Ja Morant, and everything that's been going on with Ja, with the guns, the suspension, and all that. There could be a lot going on with him. Internally, what's going on with him. So, but as of right now, none of the series have really. I think the Clippers beating Phoenix yesterday, that was a pretty big deal because, they're playing without Paul George, another injured star that's out. So, but they got Kawhi Leonard, and he looks healthy right now so far, being in and out of the lineup earlier, most of the season, and now he's healthy. So, but we've seen what Kawhi can do when he's healthy. He can lead this team. But with Phoenix getting Kevin Durant, and I mean, that could be a big deal, but we'll see what happens in game 2 if the Clippers can go up 2-0. But as of right now, there hasn't been a real significant there's no panic yet. Sacramento winning their first game and their first playoff game in 17 years, being in the playoffs. So beating Golden State, but then they play the Warriors tonight, so they only won by 3. The Warriors they've been in so many of these predicaments, so not too worried about them either. So yeah, as of right now, nothing's really has been highlighted as much, but with game 1.
Yeah, so I've seen like a lot of people picking the Warriors over the Sacramento because of playoff experience and because of rings. And when you look at that Sacramento Kings game against the Lakers, that pretty much came down to the wire, or who gonna make the last shots, who gonna take what. Now, without the story I've been watching is really with Golden State is Andrew Wiggins, the health of Andrew Wiggins. What's the health of Gary Payton? Because those two were probably like 2 of your best defenders. Wiggins was your best offensive scorer in the front court. To me, he's probably the biggest domino in my opinion, because you can't have Steph and Clay do it by themselves.
Right.
But when it comes to that Clipper series, Suns, I said 7. I said because we can flip a quarter, because that Suns team You got KD, but you gave up a lot.
Yes.
You
Yes.
you gave up a bench. You gave up some depth to
Yep.
get KD. And man, if KD slipping in that layup line, that,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
If he jump off the right foot wrong and
Mhm.
land, that's that's it. But I like how you talked about the Lakers, man.
Mm,
And I'm not a Lakers fan,
me
but
either.
watching them with this D'Angelo Russell and letting and the Westbrook thing, they should have never put their business in, bro.
No.
They should have. I think
No.
that may have set them back. I think they
Mhm.
lost a playoff year or two
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of Westbrook.
Yeah.
I think right now watching Westbrook play with the Clippers, he look a little bit. He found his spot in my opinion, but because it's all about chemistry, man.
Yeah.
It's all about that.
Yep. I agree. I agree. And I think with the Lakers, uh they got more depth. They seem to like playing with each other now. And like I said, as long as Anthony Davis, because I always feel like he's still the X factor for the Lakers. I mean, LeBron's gonna get his, but I mean they got guys like Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves balled out yesterday. I mean, he's been playing well all year. So LeBron can rely on these guys. Hashimura, they got him. They have guys as long as AD can just stay upright. And he almost got hurt yesterday. He couldn't move his arm. I'm like, this guy, man, he just stayed getting banged up. But he came back in the second half. I guess he probably said, you know what, I gotta just play and whatever happened. Maybe he got stiffened up or whatever. But it's all about they can't allow LeBron to play so many minutes. So Anthony Davis, that's why they got him during the bubble season. I mean, yeah, he got a chance to rest and do his thing. So you had AD, he was a monster in that bubble playoff, championship that they won. But LeBron he cannot. But great as LeBron has been, he can't play 40 minutes a night. So they need Anthony Davis to be that double machine that we know he is. So once they get him and they get him right, and the Lakers can make a little bit of noise in this playoff. I don't see them getting real far, but they can get past Memphis, and then they'll play the winner of the Warriors and Kings. I got the Warriors going to the championship. I predicted them to go to the finals just because of the experience, and they got everybody back. Andrew Wiggins is back, and you said Gary Payton. That's like getting two key. That's huge pieces to get with them with Steph and Clay and Draymond. Iguodala's back, and so and Steve Kerr. So that's why I'm not going to panic with Golden State going down 0-1 to Sacramento, which was great for the Kings. I mean, first playoff win in 17 years. That's huge, and not making the playoffs 17 seasons. So that was big for them, and they were just excited. It was an exciting time for the Kings. But yeah, I think the Lakers they definitely could get past Memphis, especially if Ja Morant, if he's out for a significant amount of time. We'll see if he plays game 2.
Right. That's interesting. You said you got the Warriors coming out the West as a 60. You got them beating the Nuggets. How far you got the Nuggets going?
Got the Nuggets. I got the Nuggets in the conference finals. I got the Warriors beating the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. I feel like the Warriors with that experience, like they've seen everything. They've seen like if they go down 0-1, they like, okay, we can make adjustments as long as they're healthy, as long as that big three is healthy and motivated. They still got one of the best players in the league in Steph Curry. Still, Clay's healthy. Yes, and they didn't have. They were terrible on the road, like historically bad on the road. But now it's come playoff time. They can make the adjustments when they need to. Gary Payton, they got depth. They got Kuminga, got Jordan Poole. They have a lot of depth. So yeah, I think the Warriors can actually come out of the West.
And see, the other thing is the difference. Yeah, you might be bad on the road in the regular season, but when you're playing a team 4, 5, 6 times, you the numbers a little bit. We gonna lock into you a little bit differently.
Yeah. That's why I think game 2 is big for Sacramento. More, I think the pressure's more on them to try to go up 2-0 because, like I said, the Warriors, they're going to make the adjustments. They lost by 3. They lost by 3, and they didn't even play their best basketball. So, Curry still got a good look at the end of the game. He just missed it, and Andrew Wiggins missed the 3, and he missed the 3. I think with 30 seconds left or something like that. So he had to play most of the year because he was dealing with some injuries and some personal things. So, he gets back in shape. Peyton gets back in shape. I think the Warriors will be fine.
Okay. Now we talked about the West. We got to dive into that East, bro. Who's coming out the East?
Well, I picked the Bucks because of with their experience and their depth. But now Giannis, depending on this injury with his back, depends how significant that is because he could beat the Bucks without if they don't have Giannis. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing, Jimmy Butler, and he came through again. But I think the Bucks still should beat the Heat. The Celtics, they looked real good in Game 1 because they're coming off being in the finals last year, and they have all the pieces to put it all together. So they still have all the pieces. They still got Tatum, a better Tatum, a year Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. I mean, Al Horford. Their depth is. I mean, they're so good at a lot of positions. So the Celtics, I got them in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Bucks, but Sixers. It all depends on James Harden. I think it comes down to him and what he's. We know what playoff Harden now. Can he get over that hump? I don't know. We haven't seen it all. We haven't seen it throughout his career. So depends on what Harden you get. But I think that relies on Harden because Joel Embiid's he's doing his business. He's gonna do his thing. He's MVP. He's gonna do his thing. So I'm not worried about Embiid. I'm just worried about Harden with the Sixers. But other than that, I mean, you got the Cavs, the Knicks. I'm not a believer in any of them. The Nets. I think the Nets they're going to get beat by the Sixers. So yeah, I think it comes down to the three. It does come down to Bucks, Celtics, and the Sixers when it's all said and done.
I'm gonna say it like this with the Nets: Jacques Vaughn, the coach of the year, because an honorary. If we're gonna give an honorary coach of the year, it has to go to Jacques Vaughn because you had Kyrie and KD for one moment playing the best basketball. Yeah. And then we had the distractions with Kyrie with that situation. Then you had KD, demand the trade, and both are gone. And you forgot about the Ben Simmons situation.
Yeah.
So you've had all these big time stars, and you still make it to the playoffs. Oh, by the way, you had Steve Nash being fired.
Yeah,
that's a lot, bro.
8 games that he got fired.
Yeah. That's a lot, man. And to still make the playoffs as a 6 seed, he'd my honorary coach of the year. Now, he ain't going to be the coach of the year.
I mean, he's going to get votes. I mean, he deserved to get votes. I mean, you said taking that team, but you said with KD being hurt, injured most of that year, most of the season, then they trade him. They get all this depth. I mean, that's the problem with Phoenix. Like we talked about them. Yeah, they're top heavy. They're top 4, but you gave up a lot to get KD. So you going all in for a one season, maybe half a year. But the Nets getting all those pieces, I mean, they're able to, just to be said, to make the playoff, to get that, continue to stay at that 6th seed, and is a compliment in itself. I think Mike Brown's going to get coach of the year because of taking Sacramento. But if Jacques Vaughn gets it, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't put it past that either. He definitely deserves votes and maybe 2nd or 3rd at least. So
yeah. Now I think that 4 or 5 is a toss up between Cleveland and
Knicks.
Both of those are great stories. Knicks are putting it together. The job that was happening in Cleveland. I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep with Boston and Atlanta. It's just a matter of time. It's all it is because they hitting all cylinders. I'm interested in what's going to happen with Doc Rivers. Because in my opinion, and I've said this before, I said this episode or 2 ago, they have to go to the NBA Finals at least. A minimum Eastern Conference, but definitely NBA Finals for, to solidify the MVP of Joel Embiid, which I think he will win it.
I do too.
And to keep Doc Rivers in that ownership hat because that is no excuse not to at least have one finals appearance or conference finals appearance. With Embiid, you got Terrence Maxey, you have Harden who need to show something got to be done. And
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just what I think. What you think of that with Doc Rivers?
No, I agree. I 100% agree. I like Doc. I like him as a coach. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league. But I think when it comes to playoffs, it always seems to, for whatever reason, his coaching methods he can never get this teams over the hump. Because remember when he had those Clippers team, he had those talented Clippers team with DeAndre Jordan and
Blake
Chris
Griffin, Chris
Paul and
Paul.
Blake Griffin. Yeah, he had those guys. He could never get them to the finals. So now you have the MVP and Joel Embiid. Some consider the best player in the league today. He's one of the most dominant, to tell you that, on both ends of the floor. And the way he has progressed in his game too, from 3-4 years ago, he's now become more of a leader. He's dominant, like averaged 33 points a game, and double-double, strong double-double with over 10 boards. He blocks 2 shots a game. So, Joel Embiid has improved. So he has one of the best players. And on top of that, he got Harden. You said Tyrese Maxey. He got Tobias Harris. He's got the team. He's got a really good team. It's just now can he make the adjustments in the playoffs? And I think that's always been his Achilles heel, is making the adjustments when you need to. When can I make those in-game adjustments? So, yeah, they got to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't see them beating a Boston in the next round, in the next series, because I think Boston just has more. They can attack all those other areas. Then Joel Embiid's going to get his, but they can throw bodies at Joel. But they're good. They're going to lock up at all these other positions. As you said, they're firing all cylinders, and the Celtics are coming off a finals appearance last year. They're hungry to get back there again. And beginning of about 2/3 of the year, 3/4 of the year, they were the best team in the league, period. So, and Jason Tatum was playing probably half the year. He was the MVP. So, they're turning it around right now. So, Doc Rivers the Sixers have to get to at least the Eastern Conference. Now, if they beat Boston and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, then I think he solidifies and keeps his job. But as of now, he's definitely on the hot seat. He's got to at least get to that Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, most definitely. So, from what you're telling me, you got the Warriors coming out the West, and if Giannis is healthy, and the health of Middleton as well,
yes,
you got the Bucks coming out the East.
Correct. Yep. But Giannis has to be healthy. If Giannis is not healthy, then it's funny. It's might be a rematch, Warriors and Celtics. But I'm not gonna discount Denver at all. But as you said, Denver they're stacked, and they got the 2-time MVP who could very well be a 3-time and 3 in a row MVP in Jokic, and Jamal Murray's back. We've seen the last time when Murray was healthy what he could do. He was balling. Yeah. So he just had his first playoff game in a couple of years. He played well. He played excellent yesterday. Denver. Phoenix, like I said, they're heavy on their top 4 is heavy, so won't count them out. But if the Clippers get past them and they get Paul George, they could be dangerous too. But I got Warriors and Bucks in my finals pick.
Do you think Mark Malone is on the hot seat too? Because you've been to the playoffs, you've been deep. Do you if this is like a make or break year to get to the finals for him?
Yeah, I do. I don't know about hot seat, but he's got to at least get to the conference finals. I think they'll still give him an opportunity to. But this is their team is loaded. Denver is stacked, so they have to at least get. And they got the number 1 seed. They have to get past the second round. They got to get to at least the conference final. So I don't think he's on that. He's close to the hot seat, but they definitely have to get to the conference finals.
Right on. Man, let's switch gears, Doc, and let's talk about this NFL. So before we came on here, I was talking to you about your boy Jalen Hurts. Got that bag, man. He's gonna be getting close to 47 million a year, 46, 47 million.
46 million, yep.
46 million, man. And Lamar still ain't got his bag, bro. we need to have a discussion right now, man.
Okay.
About this. And some people have felt like it's been blackballed. Some people feel like it's not fair. Some people think it's justice. And in my opinion, I think Lamar hasn't done enough in my opinion, besides the league MVP. What is your take on this, man? Because I think Jalen Hurts deserves it, and it was well earned. Do I think Lamar deserves it? Yeah, he deserves it, but he hasn't earned it. What's your thoughts, man?
Man, there's so much. I mean, this Lamar Jackson thing has been going on for the last, I mean, all year really, the last 2 years, because they've been talking about his, trying to get paid, and I think he should get paid. I mean, he said he's MVP. He's one of the top, I guess you say 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks in the league. If you want to do a list of the top guys, and he's got one playoff win on his resume. I think the problem with Lamar is not having the right representation, no agent. I think that's hurting him, and because the reports, you never know what's true with the reports, but the reports is that the Baltimore Ravens offered him $180 million guaranteed money. Now he wants more. Now Jalen Hurts just got $179 guaranteed, so Lamar's probably thinking, okay, but if he turned that down, it's like, are you going to get that now? We don't know. Like, the market is it's like maybe 150, 160, 170 now. Like, we just don't know. Like, Joe Burrow's going to get something probably in that regard. He's going to probably get about 180, 185, 190 because he's up. He's going to be up soon. And then remember, he went to a Super Bowl just like Jalen Hurts he just went to a Super Bowl. So they've led their teams to a Super Bowl. And Joe Burrow now, he's been to the even AFC Championship too. Again, he went last season two times. So Lamar, one playoff win, on his resume. They're looking at that, but I think Baltimore's going to. I don't know how much they're going to pay him, but I think as time goes on, I think he's going to get his money. It just depends how much guarantee he gets. But I think not having any representation. I know there's been talks about his mom is representing him. I don't know if she has any agent, lawyer, attorney type of background. We don't know. Is he representing himself? I think that's hurting. I think that's actually hurting him more than helping him. But yeah, does he deserve money? Yes, he does, because he has definitely, he wins every time he's on the field. He does win. He does get wins, but now it's availability. He's been injured the last 2 years too, so that's hurt Baltimore. So I think that's what there's going to be something. There's going to be some incentives with his contract. There's going to be some clauses that you have to play this amount of games, and just to get all this paid. But I think he definitely deserves some money. But I mean, now he sees Jalen Hurts, he's probably thinking that's where the market where I need to be.
So here's my thought, and I, just hear me out on this. I think representation is number one. I don't know, and nothing wrong with getting somebody else to represent you outside, because hey, there's a guy by the name of Rich Paul who wasn't college educated, started his own brand and has done phenomenal work. I think, could it be the wording that's in discussions, the things that you say, and what you and how you present yourself? It could be that. I'm not. It could be representation, and what are you putting on the market? Because I believe he wants Deshaun Watson money.
Yeah, and I don't think he's getting that.
and he's not getting that Deshaun Watson money. Now I'm gonna look deeper when you said availability, because if I'm a owner and I see Jalen Hurts has improved, but yes, Jalen Hurts has now not depending on his feet first. He's depending on pocket presence, getting the ball out of his hands, getting his reads, and he literally improved from the previous season when they went to the playoffs and lost to Tampa, all the way to the Super Bowl, and probably could have been the MVP had he not got injured toward the end of the season.
Yeah.
Whereas Lamar, from watching film and looking at it, he's about run first, pass second. If they don't hurry up and get open, I'm going. And so I look at it coaching. If maybe I switch my technique, because I think Lamar is better than the boy in Arizona, Kyler Murray. Yep. I think he's better than Fields. He has the ceiling, but he hasn't taken it to a different level. And I'm not paying as an owner. I'm not paying you to run the football. I'm paying you to throw the football. I'm paying for touchdowns. When it's time to run, you save that dynamic for last. But if you get out there and you get in that field and the linebacker take your head or snap your leg, we don't have no quarterback for the 15, 16 games a season.
Right.
So that's how I see it. Does he deserve it? Yeah, but has he earned it? I don't think he's earned it. I would think, or matter of fact, if you have that mouthpiece like a Lee Steinberg in there, let's go ahead and get that 170 on paper right now, and then we'll come back to the table next year in that initiative, make you the highest paid. If we don't do it like that.
I agree, 100% agree. And then that's the thing, like it's like I said, I don't mind him representing himself, but you need that representation. Jalen Hurts has Nicole Lynn. Like you talk about Rich Paul, like she's on Clutch Sports. Like she put it, like we were talking about women in sports, like she like being that the greatest agent she is, you know, she got him that bag. Like she represented him to get that money, and she negotiated that deal. And she's a former attorney and now is an agent and running, like I think she runs the NFL communications for Clutch Sports now. So for that agency, so she knows what she's doing, and then she was able to for Jalen Hurts able to get Hygh and to be able to negotiate Hygh Roseman, and they were able to sit down, and she got Jalen Hurts that back. Lamar probably needs at least someone that to be able to, okay, if Baltimore's offering you 180 million, 185 million guaranteed money, you need to take that, because you might not get that type of deal somewhere else. And you see these teams are not. Now, that's another discussion. You talk about him being blackballed. I think there is some validity to it, because you think a former MVP who's just removed 3-4 years from being MVP, and a lot of teams are not clamoring for him to a Lamar Jackson. They're not offering anything for him. There's something there that's not clicking. Like I said, it could be the wording. It could be that he's representing himself. It could be a lot of different things. The injury history. It could be a lot of things. But you would think teams that needs a QB, like a Colt, like the Indianapolis Colts, like the Houston Texans, teams like that, and they're willing to get a quarterback in the draft instead of Lamar Jackson, who's still young. That says something. So there's something that we're not seeing or not hearing about. But for Lamar, I think he will get his money. And another thing too, he never really had all those weapons. Now he's got Odell Beckham. If he comes back, okay, well, is Odell going to be? Remember, he's got injury history too. Like, we don't know what type of Odell we're going to get. Is he going to be the Odell? He's not going to be the Giants Odell. Is he going to be the Odell that was with the Rams, the Super Bowl run, which he did do? I mean, he played excellent. I mean, he balled out, especially in the playoffs. Or that Odell is coming off a couple of serious injuries. That can help, and that can help Lamar. He needs weapons. Jalen got weapons with getting AJ Brown and having the offensive line. So Jalen Hurts had weapons, and we see the improvement. Can Lamar do that same thing if he gets some weapons around him? So he needs weapons around him too.
Okay. So let's say Lamar does not sign with Baltimore. What teams you can see him going to, possibly?
Man, I think I had this conversation on my show. We were talking about Lamar, and we were saying, could be the Colts, could be someone like that, the Houston Texans, maybe Carolina, Tampa Bay. That could be I know they got Baker Mayfield. I know they just picked him up, but talking to some people from that covers Tampa Bay, they're like, are they even a believer in Baker? We don't know. I mean, can you imagine Lamar going over there to Tampa? And they got weapons, they got receivers, and they got a running game, so their offensive line can improve. But Lamar could go over there. I mean, I think those are some of the teams that could have used a Lamar Jackson.
I'm gonna tell you two teams that I thought about, and one of my colleagues at the main money, I call it the main job. Mm-hmm. He told me to think about, and one of them was the 49ers. Because they hey, you got Brock, but you can make Lamar come in as a prove it prove your worth type deal. Come in here for 1 or 2 years because you got weapons, you got pieces. They ready to rock and roll. If it's a weapon issue, I'm gonna have to definitely got to ask Snowman about that because he a 49er fanatic.
Yeah.
And the other one, I'm thinking of redemption type deal is the Commanders.
Yes.
Because you're right there in the same area. You're not moving from the DMV. You got Bieniemy who has been allegedly blackballed by the league and not get a job. You got Lamar Jackson who ain't really got his bag like that. So really, they need each other. They need a quarterback there because are we really sold on Sam Howell as the quarterback? Lamar got to prove his worth. Bieniemy got to prove his worth. And I think that would be some of the best coaching that Lamar has had because you got a two-time Super Bowl champion coordinator.
Yes.
Been to 5 AFC title games, 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Right there.
And that offense and what that offensive mind of Eric Bieniemy, what he has and that play calling he can do. Right. Can you imagine him? I mean, he just had Patrick Mahomes, who's the best player in the league, period. Right. But he gets a dynamic player like a Lamar Jackson on top of that. I mean, that's with those weapons, and now they got new ownership, so they could just let's get a franchise quarterback, a top 5, top 6 quarterback here in Washington, in DC, just to start with that. And with those weapons, they got a running game, they got receivers, they got a defense, a solid defense who can get better. And that NFC East, man, if Lamar goes over there, I like that. I actually like that Washington probably out of all the teams really, because they're in a situation where they need a quarterback, and Lamar he could fit right in, and with Eric Bieniemy, getting his hands on Lamar like that, man. Yeah, I love that. I do concede. I can see that.
When the last time the NFC East would be this exciting? Just think about it. Because now if you get a Lamar Jackson in the East, you have him, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Dak Prescott, and you have
Daniel Jones.
Who
just got the bag?
He ain't did nothing. Just got a bag.
Right. Because Dak got his last year. Jalen got his now. As you said, Danny Dimes got his just like 3 weeks ago, and then Lamar, if he gets his. Yeah, the NFC East was competitive this season. Was competitive this year with the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants. They all make the playoffs, and then Washington was just a game or 2 behind. So can you imagine that? Yeah, the NFC East will be stacked with Lamar being in Washington.
Right. I'm gonna end on this note, man. Before we get you out of here, Aaron Rodgers, man. What the hell, bro? What? Is he gonna sign with the Jets, or he trying to go to the Niners? Man, what they doing, bro?
I don't know. The Jets said they're gonna make a deal. I can see it happening next week with the draft. I could definitely see that. And then because Aaron Rodgers, it's funny. He's all about now making headlines, and so he's been that type of diva of a quarterback now. So I can see him doing something like, you know what? I know that they're negotiating with what type of draft picks they want, Green Bay wants, and they could have made this deal. They could, maybe they want a lot for Aaron Rodgers, deservedly so. I could see that, but it's been a soap opera, man, with him the last couple seasons. And can you imagine all this and he ends up in San Francisco? Can you imagine that?
Man. Somebody getting fired in New York, or either that or ownership is crappy.
Yes, yes, they need to make this deal, man. I'm tired of hearing about it. Let's just get the deal. I tell you one thing, Mike Greenberg, he would have a fit because he's such a big Jets fan for Mike and from Get Up. He's been having a fit. He's just I've been just updating my Twitter. I'm just scrolling, and still nothing. I'm like, Aaron Rodgers is going to be I think he's going to be a Jet, though. I think at the end of the day, he'll be a New York Jet. It's just a matter of when.
Courtney, man, it's a pleasure, bro. Where can listeners find you in your social media?
Man, on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Courtney Harden on Twitter at Courtney 110979. Instagram, CJ Harden _79. And Facebook is just my name, Courtney Harden. You can find the show at Get the Real Deal on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Get all the content there. And, BS3 Network, Roku TV, BS3 TV on the Roku channel. And like I always say, if you Google The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, you can find it everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere, man. You can just find that, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, weekly on Saturdays, usually between 11 and 12. But like I said, I got content each and every day, every other day. So be on the lookout for it, man. Just try to grind out those episodes.
And that content, it's more than Saturdays, man. Because I see sometimes he have content 5 straight days. I'm like, dog, you grinding.
Yeah, man. Anytime I try to get a guest, man, and I try to work with the guest, and if they say they can do it on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm there. Like I say, hey, let's pick a time, let's do it. So yeah, I try to do as much content as possible, but the main show is on Saturdays.
Yes. Courtney, bro, thank you again for coming on to the Casual Highlights, the platform. Thank you for your time, brother.
I thank you, man. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. We got to do this again on my show, man. And yes. We'll have that same type of conversation. Got to talk about your Chiefs and what's coming up, and draft and after the draft. So we'll definitely be doing this again. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. My name is Hygh. Till next time, y'all know what it is. God is love, and disrespect your senses.